Yo! Let's go! Let's go! Yeah, dude, Jenny and I saw it. And then we had a long, like, sort of family conversation after. Dude, I wanna read this essay, all right? There's this guy that I fucking follow on Twitter. Hold on here. A.R. Moxon is his name. This guy. Okay, he wrote something. I don't know what it is, but it had a picture here. It's an essay he wrote. Okay, in 2017, American Nazis invaded Charlottesville, Virginia, which is a major U.S. city, in case you didn't know. Maybe you remember this. They called themselves Unite the Right. They wanted what Nazis want and did what Nazis do, which was to kill. And they use a picture from the guy in Civil War, okay? And I want to read this guy's fucking essay, bro. So you didn't like the ending? Yeah, I liked the ending. Dude, the movie had sort of a profound effect on me, right? You know, this movie, I'm not going to give anything away about the movie Civil War, right? They only go into a couple things, you know what I'm saying? Like, they never discuss how this happens. They just discuss that the president had disbanded the FBI and used the military against American citizens and had, like, killed journalists. That's it. That's what had gone on prior to where the movie starts in the middle of this Civil War thing. Now, the reason why this movie hit me so hard is because some of this is really tied to that impulse right here, what this guy says in his essay. Americans who want to kill Americans. And this is really, like, fucking me up right now, right? Because I see a lot of this out in the fucking world, okay? I see a lot of this out in the world where there's this new mentality of people wanting to, like, carry guns, right? And if somebody fucks with you at the store, right? These citizens shooting other citizens, that's been happening, the stand your ground laws that they're starting to pass, where, you know, like, there was a guy who got in an argument with somebody at a convenience store in Florida, and he fucking shot the guy and killed him. And he got off under their stand your ground law, where now people can get in an argument and just fucking kill each other, bro. And you know, or like that Nick Merck shit with those Proud Boys that are going around beating up parents that are trying to, like, you know, make it so their schools celebrate Pride Month to make gay people feel included and safe, right? And then those Proud Boys go and they fucking beat the shit out of people, right? Sorry, we're not going to tolerate fucking morons. And those Proud Boys go and commit violence. Okay, and the Oath Keepers, and, like, the people in Charlotte, the Unite the Right people. Like, this shit is I feel like is hitting home a lot more. You've seen people talk about it on Twitter, about there being a civil war and all this. And, like, what's scary about it is some of the animosity I see directed at LGBTQ people or immigrants. Like, I feel like there's certain segments of the population now that do want to hurt people that are, like, different than them or that they disagree with, right? Like some fucked up shit is going on, bro. And so, yeah, I want to read this guy's essay because this guy's actually a really good writer. And I fucking love what he tweets on Twitter. He's just super thought-provoking. And it's got me thinking about, I've been thinking about this shit a lot because I'm wondering where, like, where the ramping hatred is going to lead, right? Like, if you look at fucking, like, libs of TikTok, who we watched a video about the other day, they got Planet Fitness got fucking like 45 bomb threats because of their anti-trans posts. you know, that shit, like you don't call in a bomb threat on a business unless you really want to hurt them. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, it's different than actually bombing the business, but I feel like the energy is real similar, right? Like the energy is real fucking similar because you want to hurt them. You're lashing out. You're calling in a threat of something that could endanger people's lives. And that shit is fucking super twisted, right? And so now fucking you have fucking, you know, libs of TikTok getting bomb threats to schools and libraries and all that kind of shit, right? People are lashing out in that way because of what? Because they're afraid that there's a pride flag in the classroom? Like, it doesn't fucking make any sense to me. But yeah, this movie really affected me, bro, because I'm tired of the fucking, I'm tired of that, like, that emotional violence being directed towards people, right? That, like, calling gay people groomers, or fucking calling, like, trans people pedos, or, you know, fucking, like, calling immigrants animals and shit. Like this Trumpian rhetoric that's been going on. This sort of like people believing they should be nasty and dehumanizing and fucking talk about like people, you know, being put down and shit. Right? Dude, yeah, so Conless, smell you later, boss. Fuck off. Clown kicked. Sorry, we're not going to tolerate high levels of ignorance and bigotry here, boss. What a fucking douchebag. You wonder what the cause is, Ash, of like the sort of the violence? You mean that predilection towards violence is like, I mean, the thing about violence is it's usually, it's like a fear response, right? You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you think about it, right? It's a fear response and lack of empathy, right? Because like if you look like with the stuff we were talking about with like the Proud Boys that are going and fucking punching people at schools, right? Punching parents that are like, you know, acknowledging Pride Month. They're like so afraid of like non-heterosexual, non-biblical, like whatever, any reality that is non-biblical that disagrees, like they're afraid that is a threat to their way of life. It's the same shit with like white supremacy or whatever. Like white people are afraid of being outnumbered, and maybe they're afraid that if white people are numbered, the people of color will enslave the white people like the white people did to the people of color. I don't know, but there's definitely fear, right? I mean, violence is usually a fight or flight sort of response, but I think it goes deeper than fear though too, because fear is a motivator, but what like, which causes hate and shit. But yeah, it's like what causes them to actually physically hurt someone, right? To actually physically hurt someone. Like, that is like, it's like a lack of impulse control, right? And I do think it definitely has something to do with power dynamics, right? Because when you dominate someone, right? Like think about it in a movie, okay? You know how in a movie you see a guy that's just like I experienced it with Euphoria. Jenny and I are watching Euphoria, and the character Nate, the football player, he's such a fucking douche. And he's been going around and ruining everyone's lives. And so when the drug dealer just fucking beats the shit out of him on New Year's, it felt so good, right? That like that drug dealer, this guy was ruining everybody's life, right? He was so bad and so nasty that when somebody overpowered him and made him pay, it's like a feeling of release. And a feeling of like a sense of somebody like restoring the power and taking away some of the power from that negative entity, right? But like, so part of that, like, Proud Boy anti-LGBTQ stuff is they have like dehumanized the LGBTQ people. They have to turn them into evil people, right? To where then their violence is like casting out the evil. I think a lot of it is really, to be honest with you, I think a lot of it is tied to religion. Okay? I think a lot of it is tied to religion, because I think religion sort of teaches people that violence is okay if you're doing it in the name of God and in the name of like the kingdom of God, right? It really is. I hate to say that, but I believe that religion, whether it's Islam or Christianity, both of those religions, right? They and Judaism as well, right? They allow violence. Okay, violence is acceptable. Slavery is acceptable. The secondary treatment of women and making people obey, forcing people to obey under threat of punishment. All of that is acceptable. It's like hardwired into it. So if your God, who created you and by theory loves you, is willing to punish you, burn you, destroy you if you don't obey, then certainly if you're acting in his name, it's fine for you to go do that to others as well, right? You know, it's like what's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? If you teach your kids that they either obey or they get a strap, they're going to think that that's how you love and discipline and express, you know, the power. They're going to think it's okay. You know what I'm saying? You know, and so there's, I think religion is really a big part about that, big part of that. But a huge part though is convincing yourself that the enemy deserves it. Convincing yourself that the enemy deserves it. Are we feeling like there's a troll in the house? I feel like there's a troll on a burner account in the house. Not gonna ban it just yet, but I'm definitely feeling it, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling like there's somebody who doesn't really belong in the fucking discussion. Dude, Talon, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. Come on now, don't pile on. All right. Fucking snap out of it. But yeah, dude, the I don't know, man. I thought this movie, I thought Civil War, what it was particularly effective at was showing you how a couple of things. One, it was showing you how truly frightening it is when people like from the same country or people in the same place will just kill each other indiscriminately. Like, it's horrifying. Okay? It's horrifying. You know what I'm saying? That like, you know, and what's more though is in the middle of it, they stop in this small town where everybody's kind of acting like none of it's going on, right? And that was really weird too, dude. Till you see the people up on the roof. But it's really fucking crazy. So yeah, we're gonna read this, right? This is by A.R. Moxon. He's a writer. He's great. Check him out on Twitter. Okay. This is fucking right? It's got a novel called The Revisionaries, right? But he's on Twitter, called A.R. Moxon on Twitter. He's really good. All right, we're gonna fucking read this. I'm really intrigued by it. I haven't read it. Am I into boxing? I'm not into boxing. No. Jenny's uncle is the editor of Ring Magazine, though. And I saw him commenting tonight. He's actually a really cool guy. Doug, he's amazing. So we have boxing in our family, right? But I personally am not into boxing, right? But whenever I hang out with Doug, we talk about boxing and boxers, and it's really interesting hearing his his perspective on it, right? Because he talks about how the guys boxing, the sport itself of the real like lifer boxers is a very pure thing, but apparently like the money behind it is a lot of people get sort of corrupted by the money, right? And the promoters and the fraudulence. Like the only pure thing in boxing really is the boxers, right? But all right, an essay about the present danger and the danger coming after the present danger. Supremacists who kill with laws and those who kill without them. Differentiators. Part 4. Okay, in 2017, American Nazis invaded Charlottesville, Virginia, which is a major U.S. city in case you didn't know. Maybe you remembered it. They called themselves Unite the Right, and they wore polo shirts and held tiki torches and chanted Nazi chants predicated on the idea that the white race, which is a pretend thing that people made up in order to consolidate social and political power and wealth by organizing the application of brutality and violence, was being replaced by inferior races in a conspiracy orchestrated by Jewish people. It's a vile conspiratorial lie called replacement theory, and Nazis believe it is true and justifies their framing as self-defense, the violence they enact and the violence they intend. Now, this is really important here, right? I think in particular, this thing about the white race, which is a pretend thing that people made up in order to consolidate social and political power and wealth by organizing the application of brutality and violence. It's very true, right? Because when you think about it, the white race is really, there's a lot of different cultures in the white race. Like there's Scandinavian, Eastern European, Slavic, right? Various European cultures, even darker skinned people like Italian and Spanish, some people from Spain, and there's the various UK people and people from Russia, right? There's many shades of like white, but the thing that differentiates the various shades of white, right, is that power, that concentrated political power that separates them from everyone that has too much pigment, right? But there's not actually like if you look at white people, there's not like a specific white culture, okay? There's not at all, right? Like, because white people just came from so many different places and expanded and colonized in so many different areas. There's no like white racial culture, right? Yeah, no, this guy's great. Many Nazis consider themselves Christian, which means that the bigotry in their hearts and the violence that they intend is the thing they worship as their God, which, whatever you might think about Christian tenets, isn't a Christian tenet. On the other hand, I can't help but notice that a frightening number of Christian institutions and leaders and parishioners don't do much to differentiate themselves from these Nazis, at least not in the way they use their religion as a rationale both for their bigotry and for practicing the popular traditional form of violence known as supremacy. I think this is really fucking important too, man, right? This thing he says right here. On the other hand, I can't help but notice a frightening number of Christian institutions and leaders and parishioners don't do much to differentiate themselves from these Nazis, at least not in the way they use their religion, as a rationale both for their bigotry and for practicing the popular traditional form of violence known as supremacy. Like, for example, you ready? How do we see this played out right now? Right here. Okay. Here we go. 487 anti-LGBTQ bills spread over a whole bunch of states. Okay. This is an example of that. The people that are here, okay, are like trying to ostracize LGBTQ people, trying to say they're dangerous to children and their medical treatments shouldn't be happening, and that they're like basically a scourge to society, that they're trying to damage society, all right? And they're using Christianity in all these states to try and pass these bills. And that's the same shit the Nazis did in 1930s, right? That's one of the first things they did was jail gay and trans people. Berlin was like the gay and trans center of the world. They had an institute there that had been studying trans people, had done 50 years of research, right? All of it was burned, right? The institute, all their research, everything we knew about gay and trans people up to that time, like a worldwide source, that the epicenter of which was in Berlin, was burned by the Nazis. And they demonized the LGBTQ community, and eventually they started arresting them, right, with the Jews, right? And then the Jews became their primary focus because there were simply much more of them, right? The LGBTQ population was much smaller, and it was much harder to recognize, right? You know what I'm saying? It could be hidden, for them to sort of galvanize behind this nationalist hatred. It was easier for them to aim it at the Jewish people because they were easier to identify, okay? Because there were, many of them shared similar characteristics, physical characteristics, right? Because they had a bit of a cultural heritage from where they had immigrated from, right? And so this is an example of that. It's supremacy, right? Well, what do you mean by supremacy? Well, I think Utah is an example. Okay, here's an example of supremacy, right? Is what Utah did. Okay, so Utah created an anti-trans bill saying, trans people can't compete in sports. And they made it urgent. Oh, they rushed this bill through. They voted on it. They delivered it to the governor. The Republican governor of Utah said, man, I don't want to sign this bill. It doesn't seem like this is an issue in the state. Okay. And so he refused to sign the bill. So they called a special legislative session in Utah. Okay. To override the governor's veto, 2/3 of the legislature, they came in, had a special session, overrode his veto, and enacted the anti-trans bill into law. But there was literally, I think there was one trans girl in the entire state of Utah that was trying to play volleyball, right? So they called a special session of their legislative body to pass a bill to prevent one girl from competing in sports in their fucking state. Okay? And they did that because of this fear of what? That if that one girl competed in sports, it was going to destroy the state, destroy the Mormon religion. We don't know. But that's what supremacy does. Is supremacy comes in and says, hey, you know what? The one trans girl that wants to compete, we're going to come in with the entire fucking legislature and we're going to override the governor to show you how dominant we are. That's supremacy, right? Where what they used to do back in the Civil War era, where one slave would escape and 200 citizens would go and fucking chase that one guy down, right? It's about this overwhelming response to you know what I'm saying? Oh, one trans girl in Utah wants to play volleyball, but we're gonna fucking take the entire government and aim it at her, right? That's the kind of supremacy that he's talking about here, okay? That is a form of violence, okay? I believe fully that it's a form of violence, right? We see it in other ways in America, how every black person, okay, who gets pulled over by a cop, they have a fear that there's a supremacy there, okay? And there is a situation where if you know some black people, okay, many of you may not, but the black adults that I know, they've had to instruct their kids on specific ways of behaving when they encounter police officers, right? So, Grims, here's my thought. You ready, buddy? Is no one's pushing, there is no trans agenda. No one's pushing anything on kids. and I'm banning you for being a transphobic fucking piece of shit. So fuck off. Enjoy the block. Get out of my chat, you fucking weirdo. See, that's just it right there. That person, there's no trans agenda. Okay, there's no fucking, nothing's being pushed on kids. You know what I mean? Like, that person is a fucking piece of shit troll. And we don't even have to get in an argument with them because they're fucking lying, right? There's not a trans agenda. There is a religious agenda to try and erase LGBTQ people, to try and portray them as a danger, okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, 487 anti-LGBTQ bills by Christians in America. Now that's an agenda, using the arm of government to what? To portray LGBTQ people as dangerous, to limit what they can and can't do, how they can and can't participate in sports, where they can and can't take a fucking leak, right? That's an agenda. When you have the government coming in, right, and fucking creating bills, right, controlling, see, that's what's funny, right, is like, when you have a government that comes in and tells the LGBTQ population who they can marry, where they can piss, what sports teams they can be on, everybody's like, oh, hey, they think that's fair. These people think that's fair. But if somebody asks them, hey, can you just use they, them pronouns for me? They're like, holy fucking shit. Like, no way. No way will I use they, them pronouns for you at your request. But I will expect you to show me your fucking genitals before you can go to the bathroom by state law. Right? Like, come on, bro. Doesn't make any fucking sense. But supremacy is violent. And the other thing I'd like to point out, though, here is how the number of Christians who don't differentiate themselves from the Nazis by the fact that the Nazis in America and the Christians voting for Republican politicians, they're in the same party, okay? Like when you look at like the Proud Boys, okay? If you look at the Proud Boys, okay, these guys, okay, if you're a Trump voter, if you vote for Donald Trump, okay, these guys, the Proud Boys, they go up, they're white. See them? They're fucking all white dudes, okay? And if you are gay, they want to hurt you. If you have a pride flag in your classroom, they want to fucking burn your school down. If you want to celebrate Pride Month, they want to beat your fucking parents up, okay? They want to use violence and force to command you to be Christian, like heteronormative doctrine, right? And that's their mission, okay? If you vote for Republican politicians in America, these guys are on your side. You're sharing sides with them. These guys are fucking Nazis, okay? They're Proud Boys, but they're neo-Nazis. They have the same fucking nationalist principles, all right? And they're willing to use violence, and they don't give a fuck, okay? They'll hurt people for their nationalist fucking religious objectives, okay? Now, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're on these guys' side, okay? Everybody who votes for Donald Trump is sharing the fucking dinner table with these guys, okay? Trump is their guy. He's even shouted him out. Stand up and stand by is what he said, right? He's fucking said, oh, very fine people on both sides in Charlottesville. He fucking loves these guys. He agrees with these guys, okay? He's down with them. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're voting for the Proud Boys. You're saying that they're okay with you. You guys, like, I know you can say, no, we're just voting for the same guy. But no, the guy is an ideology, okay? The guy is a leader. Donald Trump is a leader of a specific set of beliefs, okay? That, like, Christian heteronormative is the way to go, and the mom, dad, male, female family is the way to be, and there's supposed to be a Bible and immigrants are dangerous and bad until they have been qualified by the special white people. And they believe that like any type of criminal deserves extreme punishment. Ironically, except Donald Trump, he should be able to just be fraudulent, rape, and do whatever. And they don't seem to care about any of the crimes he commits. With him, they just say, oh, he did them by accident, or he didn't do them at all, right? But like, I imagine they think they're not committing crimes when they're fucking cracking people's fucking heads open. And now I know some people in Portland who are part of the rebellion. Like when these guys, because in the Pacific Northwest, these guys, the epicenter is kind of up in Idaho, in the Sandpoint, Coeur d'Alene area. Northern Idaho is like one of the epicenters for white supremacy in America, where there's Proud Boys compounds and the Oath Keepers and shit like that. Okay, that is Northern Idaho is an epicenter. So we have a lot of this in the Portland area because Portland's constitution used to be whites only when it was originally created. So there's a legacy of this fucking shitty, like racist ideology. This bigotry there's a residue of it here. So these guys are here, right? There are hangouts in Oregon that are like Proud Boys hangouts in the Portland area. And so I do know some people that when these guys show up to beat people up, I know some people that get dressed in black and go fucking head to toe with them. All right. They're the people that like get called Antifa, even though Antifa, there is no Antifa like there is the Proud Boys. Like this is an organization. They have colors. They have leadership. They have like actual organized goals. Okay. Whereas like the people that are fighting these, the people that like fight fascist groups, they're not a single organized group. It's like just networks, various networks of individuals that show up to protect the fucking drag show or show up when the trans people are marching to protect them from getting their asses kicked. But they don't have leadership. They don't have fucking clubhouses. You know what I'm saying? It's not an organization. It's far more like an actual like independent militia in a way, even though they're not really into weapons. They're not really into gun carrying, but they're like, if these guys weren't showing up to bust heads, that other group wouldn't even need to show up, right? That other group doesn't show up first. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but this is fucking super toxic, bro. This is neo-Nazi right here. And if you're a Republican voter, these are your people. Okay? We don't have anything quite like this. You know what I'm saying? We don't. And like, yeah, we don't. We don't have a group of people that on the left that show up just to commit violence. We do have some ragtag groups of people that will go to where the people who show up to commit violence, like these guys, will go and fight against them and protect regular people from them, right? And again, that's what the bogeyman that everyone likes to call Antifa. But it's not a thing, dude. Antifa doesn't exist. And I say that knowing people that, I know people that are the people that fight these guys. And it's not Antifa. It's just a group of rebellious people that fucking, you know, aren't going to allow these guys to push other people around, right? You know, and there's many of them there's like a lot of our government is trying to be that way now too. Because, dude, these guys and Donald Trump are this one and the same, man. They are one and the same. They commit crimes and think they deserve immunity because they think they have a right to commit crimes. Okay? They think that they're better than immigrants and that immigrants should only get things that they're giving them. Okay, period. Right? They think that they have a right to outnumber the immigrants or the people of color. Right? They think that they have a superiority and an ability to outperform, which is why they look at DEI the way they do, right? People who are anti-DEI believe that if the best man gets the job, it's most likely going to be a white man, right? When they see a black pilot, they don't believe he was the best available pilot. They believe he got that job simply because he was black and was there to fill a quota. That is white supremacy. White supremacy carries that inherent belief, right? And you see it all the time. Like the people who were calling the mayor of Baltimore a DEI mayor. The guy was elected 70%. He won 70% of the vote. It was a landslide fucking election that the guy won. And yet these people and the people who fucking deal in white supremacy call a guy who won a landslide of the vote the DEI mayor, because DEI is code for them. It's a symbol of this idea that anybody of color that has the job only got it in their eyes because they were filling a quota, not because they deserved it. Thank you, Ant. We're gonna hydrate. Right? But dude, Donald Trump and these guys are fucking one and the same. All right, now back to the essay. Okay, so on the other hand, I can't help but notice that a frightening number of Christian institutions and leaders and parishioners don't do much to differentiate themselves from these Nazis. At least not in the way they use their religion as a rationale both for their bigotry and for practicing the popular traditional form of violence known as supremacy. Perhaps it's that these non-Christian Nazis, or perhaps it's that these non-Nazi Christians are just too polite to publicly disagree with the Nazis who claim to share their religion. Perhaps it's that these non-Nazi Christians just agree with the Nazis too much to disagree. Who can say? Inner lives are so unknowable. And now that's really interesting, right? Because these Nazis are also Christians. So how is that? If Christianity is like, you know what I'm saying? That's super confusing. Anyway, after the Nazi invasion, the white Christian president, by which I mean to say the president who exclusively represents the interests of white supremacists and Christian supremacists, defended those invading Nazis as very fine people. So some will tell you that he was only defending the non-Nazis who marched with the Nazis with mostly the same objectives for doing so as the Nazis. And when those people tell you that, they will expect you to find it to be a meaningful distinction. All right, he's talking about Trump here. I'm going to read this again, though, because this is very important, right? He said, anyway, after the Nazi invasion, the white Christian president, Donald Trump, by which he means to say the president who exclusively represents the interests of white supremacists and Christian supremacists, defended those invading Nazis as very fine people in Charlottesburg. Though some will tell you that he was only defending the non-Nazis who marched with the Nazis, with mostly the same objectives for doing so as the Nazis. And when those people tell you that, they will expect you to find it a meaningful distinction, right? So yeah, so what he's saying is Nazis went to Charlottesville, they killed a woman, they marched with their anti-Jewish slogans. It was called Unite the Right. They identified with the right wing of America. Violence broke out. People got hurt. People got killed. Okay? They expressed the replacement theory out in the open, chanting the Jews will not replace them, that they were chanting. Right? And so what ended up happening is there were non-Nazis who were marching with those Nazis. Okay? So everybody in Charlottesville wasn't a Nazi, but there were a bunch of non-Nazis that were there marching as part of the Unite the Right there, shoulder to shoulder with the Nazis. And then when Donald Trump said, oh, there's very fine people on both sides, they're expecting you to believe that he was like only talking about, yeah, no, it froze up. We restarted, but we're back. But so anyways, so Steve, here's the thing though. You ready? Steve here's the thing we got to talk about with what Steve said. Steve said, to be fair, Joe Biden is Catholic, so let's not lump all the Christians together. But Steve, this guy is not lumping all the Christians together, Steve. Okay? This guy is lumping the Christians together who are sharing a party with the Nazi Christians and allowing, you know, things like the Unite the Right to happen where there were non-Nazi Christians marching shoulder to shoulder with Nazi Christians. Okay? So it's not lumping all Christians together. Okay? But it is lumping the Christians who go to a Trump rally and are sharing space with the Proud Boys. And they're okay with it because they're doing it in fealty to Donald Trump, right? Or, right? See, that's the thing, okay? It's not lumping all Christians together, but it is saying all the Christians that share a party with these guys and go to a Trump rally with these guys and go to the Unite the Right rally with these guys and vote for all the same legislators as these guys are engaging in the exact same Christianity as these guys. They're sharing it. So that's just it. If you're one of those Christians that doesn't vote for their guys and doesn't go to their rallies and doesn't support their leaders, then he's not talking about them. He's talking about all the Christians that are fine going shoulder to shoulder with these guys and not doing anything about it. And that's specifically what's going on with Donald Trump and the modern day Republican Party. Okay. So these days, mainstream elected members of the white Christian Party and mainstream figureheads within its vast and popular media disinformation and propaganda superstructure will talk about this Nazi theory of replacement as a rationale for murdering people at the border and murdering them outside the border and murdering them inside the border. And like Nazis, they frame all this violence as self-defense. And they encourage other people to see the existence of certain type of mostly not white and mostly not Christian people as an existential threat of deliberate replacement by shadowy conspiratorial figures that they don't usually name as Jews out loud. And they also encourage their respective constituents and audience to defend themselves from this threat. And they make sure that massacre weapons are plentiful and easy to attain. So I guess Nazis really did manage to unite the right after all. Okay? So anyway, so this is a really good point. Okay? Because a big point of this is how you have the Nazis who commit violence, right? But the idea, think about this. Think about Donald Trump and what he said he's going to do. He's going to deport all the illegal aliens, as he calls them, right? He wants to deport all of the undocumented people, okay? Really, dude, you're not going to both sides this, boss. I don't know what your point is, but be very careful with your both sides. Because there is no Democratic side that's going to walk around and do what Donald Trump wants to do. Okay, Donald Trump said he's going to deport every undocumented immigrant. Okay, now think about this. They don't even know where all these people are. The only way Donald Trump could deport every undocumented person in America would be to create a squad of people. A hit squad, if you will, of like a bunch of dudes who would go around with weapons and they would go to every person who looks like they might be from Mexico or South America. And they would go up to them and say, show me your papers. You know what I'm saying? Show me your papers. And if you can't show the papers, in the van you go. And then they fucking take you to a holding facility where they figure out if you're really illegal and then they ship you off. That's the only way he could do it. There is nobody on the fucking left wing that wants to develop a fucking hit squad of like running people. You think everyone is right to their opinion? Well, no, that's incorrect. Crazy-o. You are entitled to your opinion, but if you speak your opinion in my chat, okay, and it's toxic or hateful in any way or anti-LGBTQ or it tries to both sides Nazism, I fucking boot your ass. Or this guy is fucking trolling, watch him. He's got clown cat, right? Would solve world war, right? And I'm looking at you, dude. You have like 8 fucking timeouts, bro. Dude, yeah, look at you. You're a fucking troll too. What are you doing, bro? Why do you have 8 timeouts, boss? Of course, it's the guy with fucking... With fucking 8 timeouts who wants to talk about having your opinion. All right. Smell you later, buddy. Have your opinion somewhere else. Yeah, get lost. Later. Dude, Bible bangers? Yeah, but this guy's making a really good point here, right? He's making a really good point about how, because what I couldn't help but thinking with this is this, encouraging other people to see the existence of certain type of mostly not white and mostly not Christian people as an existential threat, right? Of deliberate replacement by shadowy conspiratorial figures. Okay, this is a fucking Nazi move right here, right? And this is what's happening right here, dude. When they think that people are transing your kid, or they think that people are fucking like there's some LGBTQ ideology that's trying to turn your kids gay, right? Or that you know what I'm saying? Or that there's a deep state out there using TikTok to turn everybody into communists and socialists, right? Dude, let's go. Later. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what this is. Encouraging other people to see the existence of certain types of people as an existential threat of deliberate replacement by shadowy conspiratorial figures, right? Dude, this guy is so right on, boss. I'm reminded today that the Nazis were defending statues erected in public spaces to honor leaders of the Confederacy, right? Who were a traitorous gang of insurrectionists who back in the 60s, the 1860s, waged a war against their country and murdered hundreds of thousands of their fellow citizens in order to preserve and expand their practice of enriching themselves by enslaving black people. That's it. But the Nazis and much of the right wing and Donald Trump wants to defend the statues erected to honor the leaders of the people who murdered hundreds of thousands of their fellow citizens in order to try and get rich by keeping slaves, right? You know what I'm saying? Craziness. The practice of enslaving black people was one of the big reasons that people who wanted to consolidate power and wealth invented the idea of the white race, incidentally. So we should, I suppose, not be surprised to find that Nazis would want to defend the public signs and signals of ongoing support and reverence for these men, who so recently in human history murdered so many of their fellow in order to preserve whiteness and the right of whiteness to own and enslave others, and to use those that can be used until their owners have no more use for them, and to kill them if their owners deem they have not earned life, or if they deem that they pose a threat, or for any other reason, or for no reason, right? That's fucking crazy, but so true, right? Like when you think about it, the entire culture in America of whiteness was centered around enslavement. Okay, there was the people who owned slaves created this idea that people of color were substandard, that they weren't as smart, or they weren't as talented, or they didn't have like the capacity to be good leaders. They did it with the native people too, right? Because they had better weapons and because they dressed differently, they assumed that the natives were weak and fucking had no, weren't very smart or couldn't make good leaders, right? And then it galvanized this idea that those guys who were white, that they were really the capable ones. They were the powerful ones, right? They were the ones that fucking had all the value, right? And then in fact, they took out loans using those people of color or the natives or the land they took from the natives as like collateral for the loan, right? Everyone who wasn't a white man was just currency, right? Nor were the Nazis who invaded Charlottesville content to only honor the supremacist murders of the past. They got in on the act themselves. One of them, and may his name be forgotten forever, struck a bunch of peaceful protesters with an automobile, killing a woman named Heather Heyer. Now that's really important too, okay? Like at this protest, you know what I'm saying? At this protest, somebody drove a car like into a fucking sea of people. It killed a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, that like you don't do that if you value or respect the existence of the human beings. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we're seeing it now. There have been people like fucking Tom Cotton, right? Okay, from Arkansas. This motherfucker who recently said, where did he say it? He actually made a call to violence here, right? He said, I encourage people who get stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic, take matters into your own hands to get them out of the way. It's time to put an end to this mad nonsense. So he's encouraging people to use violence, take matters into your own hands, right? And first, though, it's really interesting because he says pro-Hamas, right? Like, I don't think anyone's pro-Hamas. There might be some very militant people who are pro-Hamas, but people are just, they don't want, like, Palestinians to die in bombings, right? They want war over there to stop. That's not being pro-Hamas. But he's encouraging people to take matters into your own hands, right? This is like a dog whistle for drive over them, right? Like they did in Charlottesville in the Unite the Right that we're talking about here. He's fucking echoing that same shit, right? And what's interesting about it is really getting to, you know, whatever, getting to the grocery store or whatever, more important than the lives in Gaza, right? Like, you know, I'm not saying that stopping traffic is a good thing because it's very disruptive and protests that do that. But you got to ask, well, why are they doing this? They're doing this because they're trying to wake people up to what's actually going on, okay? And to get people to like be remotely impacted so they will stop for a minute. But what's funny about it is somebody who's trying to get to work and they're going to be late to work because of a protest, or they're going to be late to the fucking baseball game because of a protest. They're feeling so inconvenienced that they want to drive over the protesters. But like, man, do you really think you're more inconvenienced than all the kids that are being pulled out from under rubble in Gaza that didn't do anything but like they went to school that day and then their fucking school got leveled by a missile? And you're literally like gonna be late to go to the fucking soccer match and you're freaking out. Like maybe we could get some perspective. Like that tiny bit of fucking inconvenience we're experiencing is supposed to like get us to realize, wow, there are some people where on their drive to work, they may not make it to work because a missile may fucking take out their work. They might not have a job, or they may go to their job and when they come home, their fucking house is gone and all their family's dead while they went to work, right? That's the reality that these other people are fucking engaging with. I don't know who that is, boss. All right. It was murder. Not incidentally, it's a form of murder that many Americans want to make legal. Ask around. They'll tell you. You don't even have to ask them. They'll tell everyone, often while passing laws in Iowa and Florida and Oklahoma and proposing them in many other states. designed to legalize any future murders of any future Heather hires for any Nazis who happen to be interested in murdering their fellow citizens, by which I mean all Nazis. Okay? And if you are a fan of nuance and distinctions, these laws will work for any non-Nazis that are not Nazis but want the exact same thing as Nazis and so make common cause with Nazis. Dude, fuck off, bro. You're fucking trolling. Dude, the person was just trying to get me to say that shit, bro. Yeah, fuck that guy. Eat a dick, bro. You're gone. I know he's trolling. Later, you see how hard he was trying to get me to say that phrase? Dude, yeah, I feel like it'll add to the conversation. The guy came in talking about farting, right? Whatever. But this is really interesting, though, because this is happening. Here we got a leader encouraging people to drive into traffic, drive over these mobs, right? We have the stand your ground laws, okay? Let's see, where are they? Okay, so the stand your ground laws that they're passing, right? There we go. So 8 states, 10. So we have Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, right? And then some states here permit the use of deadly force in self-defense, right? Idaho passed a law saying you can defend your home, but also defend your place of employment or an occupied vehicle. So now Idaho's law is if you feel threatened in your car, you can fucking shoot the person, right? And what's hard though with these laws is like, if you kill the person and if nobody sees it, it's real hard to prove, right? Look at Kyle Rittenhouse. He shouldn't have been in Wisconsin. He didn't even live in the state. He went to a different state, okay, with a fucking assault rifle, walked into a fucking protest, and of course, when people saw a guy walking around with an assault rifle, they were like, holy shit, is that guy gonna start shooting people? So sure, people collected around him and skirmished with him because he was walking around with a fucking assault rifle in a protest, and he wasn't a cop. Right? And then he shoots a couple people. But like nobody knew who the good guy was, right? And he shouldn't have been there. And he got away with it, right? They want to make it like there's this new thing where people want it to be legal to fucking kill, right? Legal to carry a gun. And then, you felt threatened? You thought that guy was attacking you because he swung his skateboard at you? Now you get to fucking shoot him dead. Like, why are we fucking... You know what I'm saying? Why are we making it legal, more legal and easy accessible to shoot each other dead? Okay. Dude, he's talking about Tom Cotton right here, dude. For example, let's talk about the white supremacist senator from the state of Arkansas. The way I describe this guy is that he's long and thin like an unpainted pencil and is not so much pale as paleness. He looks like something that was extruded to be put inside a sausage casing. This long and pallid chappie is actually named Tom Cotton, which given who and what he seems is either a lazy placeholder for a hack writer or a punchline in search of a setup. And sure enough, Tom Cotton provided that setup last week when he took to the old social media place to talk about protesters who were blocking a road, as protesters tend to do when they are tired of murder and exploitation and corruption and would like less of it. Dude, let's go, Vegas Raider. Just win, baby. Dude, Tom Cotton, who is a sitting U.S. senator, if I hadn't already mentioned it, told his social media audience that these protesters were terrorists and criminals, that anyone encountering them should take matters into their own hands, right? We were just looking at this. There it is. There's Tom Cotton. Dude. He is definitely a white supremacist, right? But here he is. There's his tweet right there. Okay. Yeah, there was my fucking thing. Right-wing politician requesting violence as an answer to protests. Always the same thing with you guys. Violence, violence, violence. If you cared as much, oops, a typo, about bombs killing kids, there wouldn't even be protesters, which is accurate, right? If they really were worried about, like, if the bombs killing kids in Gaza horrified them and they did something about that, there wouldn't even be protests, right? Okay, so Tom Cotton, who is a sitting U.S. senator, if I hadn't already mentioned it, told his social media audience that these protesters were terrorists and criminals, that anyone encountering them should take matters into their own hands to remove them from the roads. In case that wasn't clear enough, he subsequently went on to TV and told his interview, along with people who still watch TV, that he thought the protesters ought to be treated like political agitators for justice tend to get treated in the state of Arkansas. In case you're not familiar with the history of the recent struggle for civil rights, the way political agitators for justice tend to get treated in the state of Arkansas is they tend to get murdered. Okay, and that is factual. This was in Mississippi. I think these guys, though, all right, that was in Mississippi, but there have been a lot of them in Arkansas as well, right? Racial violence. The Elaine Massacre, the first lynching in Arkansas was 1836, right? I don't know. I'm not super schooled on which ones are which, right? But they have a lynching memorial. Look at all these lynchings that occurred in Arkansas, bro. Holy fucking shit, boss. Arkansas lynching victim memorial. Okay. Look at this list of people who were lynched in Arkansas. That means they didn't get a trial. They didn't get found guilty of a crime. Okay? They were literally just chased down by a mob of white people and then strung up and hung. Okay? They're not in date order. They're in alphabetical order. I wish they were in date order so we could see when the last one was. We can look through, though. Let's go, boss. Dude, Vegas Raider with the gifted. Let's go. What's up, 7? See, in 1915, 1918. It's like the last one on this list is in 1918, right? Dude, it's so fucking sad, bro. 1927, John Carter in Little Rock. But this is that violence of supremacy that he's fucking talking about. Dude, thank you, Vegas Raider. Appreciate you, boss. Sorry. I didn't like that guy's tone, bro. While we're talking about lynching, for him to buy fucking hydrate and then fucking talk like that, and he had previously been timed out and been a troll, dude. Fuck him, bro. Dude, fuck that guy, dude. We're getting rid of him, dude. I didn't like his tone, bro. All right, and just so there could be no doubt, Cotton specified that he thought they ought to be thrown off of bridges and have their skin torn off and so forth. Senator Tom Cotton has what you might call a zest for the murder of U.S. citizens, if you didn't know. For example, some years back, he wrote an op-ed in our increasingly fascist-friendly paper of record, the New York Times, calling for summary public military execution of the thousands and thousands of protesters who were at the time demonstrating against grotesque police brutality. And Cotton is a leader within our nation's white Christian party. So all of this should perhaps not be such a surprise to decent, normal people, but I would argue that it should remain a shock. Interesting, dude. Let's look at that fucking Tom Cotton. June 30th, 2020. This is it, right? This is his op-ed. Says, after publication, this essay met strong criticism from many readers and many times colleagues, prompting editors to review the piece in the editing process. Based on that review, we've concluded that the essay fell short of our standards and should not have been published. The basic arguments advanced by Senator Cotton, however objectionable people may find them, represent a newsworthy part of our current debate. But given the life and death importance of the topic, the senator's influential position and gravity of the steps he advocates, the essay should have undergone the highest level of scrutiny. Instead, the editing process was rushed and flawed, and senior editors were not sufficiently involved. While Senator Cotton and his staff cooperated, dude, that's crazy that they have this like disclaimer, okay? While Senator Cotton and his staff cooperated fully in our editing process, the op-ed should have been subject to further substantial revisions, as is frequently the case with such essays, or rejected. For example, the published piece presents as facts assertions about the role of cadres of left-wing radicals like Antifa. In fact, those allegations have not been substantiated, have been widely questioned. Editors should have sought further corroboration of those assertions or remove them from the piece. The assertion that police officers bore the brunt of the violence is an overstatement that should have been challenged. The essay also includes a reference to a constitutional duty that was intended as a paraphrase. It should have not as been rendered as a quotation. Beyond those factual questions, the tone of the essay in places is needlessly harsh and falls short of the thoughtful approach that advances useful debate. Editors should have offered suggestions to address those problems. The headline, which was written by the Times, not Senator Cotton, was incendiary and should not have been used. Finally, we failed to offer appropriate additional context, either the text or the presentation, that could have helped readers place Senator Cotton's views within a larger framework of debate. See, now this is really interesting, though, because, like, the fucking, right? They're basically saying that Senator Cotton wrote this thing that wasn't true, that include false assertions presented as fact, right? That he was lying, right? And created a tone that was divisive and harsh and not useful, right? But they fucking were like, we probably should have done something about it. But maybe it was best that they didn't, right? Maybe it's best that we see how fucking toxic he is. But let's go. We're going to read that afterwards. I want to finish A.R. Moxon's article, okay? But oh, does he do this? All right. Okay. So, yeah, I want to finish reading his article. I would like to make it clear that Tom Cotton, while perhaps distinguished by his enthusiasm and forthrightness, is in no way alone in his murderous desires, right? U.S. citizens who want to kill U.S. citizens are everywhere. If we look, let's look. This is one of the things that attracted me after seeing Civil War tonight, is this idea that like increasingly more and more people in America want to be able to just kill, right? And whether it's under the guise of defensive or, you know what I'm saying? In defense or to protect or whatever. Like, people want to kill again. Like, that used to be in our fucking heritage, right? When you look at it, if you look at America back in the founders' days, those guys who wrote the Constitution, they were enslaving people. And every so often an enslaved person would escape. And they would round up everybody, okay? They would round up everybody, to go chase them down, and then they would like beat them or whip them or hang them. And this continued right up into the 1950s, okay? Even though then they weren't enslaved anymore, but they were segregated. And if they went in the wrong part of town or looked at the wrong white woman the wrong way, everybody would get together on their trucks and they would go hunt the person down and they would kill them, right? And so like that bloodthirsty killing has been like a part of us. Dude, yeah, well, so confused. What you may have noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this. I will say, right before we get into this, they've already started, okay? The Donald Trump people have already started showing what's going to go on, okay? Because like if you look at it, if you look in terms of like the Roe v. Wade and the national abortion ban, and the fact that Trump sank the fucking, the border bill in order to create this situation at the border. And they're like all this anti-immigrant shit and Trump being charged with all these very real crimes. Most of America, that's not like the people that like Trump because he's a douchebag, or the people that like Trump because he's an asshole or because he's racist and fucking anti everything and just sits up there and tells lies. Those people, nothing's ever going to change their mind, right? Trump could murder someone right in front of them and they'd still be like, hail Trump. They may even like him more. But most normal Americans who don't want to fucking end gay rights and who don't want women to be going to jail for having an abortion, that's most normal people. They're going to end up voting for Biden. They have a lot of issues with Biden, but I think Biden's going to win this election, okay? And I think Trump knows this, right? But what I've seen is if you look at it, is Trump and all the right-wing influencers are constantly posting evidence of how far Trump is ahead, right? They're posting bogus polls. They're posting polls from like February or March or now April. They find a poll that shows Trump up 6 points. Trump goes and gives a rally and says he's up by 11. And they're showing, hey, look at how big his fucking bodega crowd is, right? So they're painting this picture that like Trump is so popular, everyone loves him, he's going to win by a landslide. Now, why are they painting this picture? They're painting this picture so when he loses, they can make it seem like something cheating was done, okay? That's what they're doing. They're already setting it up. They all are. If you look at every right-wing influencer, every time Trump shows up and there's 50 people, they share all these videos. Nobody showed up for Biden. Biden couldn't have got 81 million votes. Look at how everybody loves Trump. They show him at the UFC. Everybody loves Trump, right? That's what they're saying over and over again. And they're doing this because they're going to set it up by the time we get to the election as though he's like 20 points ahead. He's even been talking on Fox News about how he thinks he's going to win New York. Dude, there's no fucking way Trump would ever win New York. No fucking way. New York fucking hates Donald Trump. Dude, they've hated Donald Trump his entire life, bro. Like, that's part of the reason why he's such a huge dick. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? But they're trying to make it seem like there's no way Trump could lose. So then when he does, they can be like, something went down, right? They've already started it. Okay, they already have. Okay, so here he goes. U.S. citizens who want to kill U.S. citizens are everywhere if we look. Let's look. Along with the laws for people who'd like to know what it sounds like when you run somebody over with their blue line flag emblazoned Ford F-150, there are laws coming and laws already here that are designed to make women property again. There are laws which ban abortion and make inevitable the deaths of people who can get pregnant. There's a law in Arizona, for example, that was written in 1864. The 60s were a crazy time, man. 1864, by the way, and creates a total ban on abortion. Now, this is something that will cause many, many pregnant people to suffer and will kill many others, many others, but it will also make women second-class citizens. And so people who worship their gender bigotry and call it God are very excited about doing it. And they're speaking in tongues on the floor of Congress as they force us to contort our country back to a time when we were literally fighting murderous Confederates who wanted to defend and expand human chattel slavery, mostly because they wanted the money, but also because they said God told them to. And yeah, this is fucking crazy, dude. The people in tongues. Let me show you this clip, dude. These are the people in Arizona, okay, that were fucking. This is Arizona's fucking, right? This is Arizona, the floor of Arizona's fucking government floor. These are Christians, by the way. Like, they're speaking in tongues. For those of you who don't know what speaking in tongues did, it's evangelicals all over America do this. Probably like 25% of the U.S. population. No, they're not performing a ritual. They're Christians that are like praying and speaking in tongues, okay, to fight for anti-abortion laws. And they're like praying for the vote that's going to happen in fucking Arizona. Okay. And they're fucking crazy. My brother was a part of a church called the Assembly of God. Okay. And this is like a lot of evangelical churches in America do this. Okay. It's like, dude, this shit is crazy. There's a Mississippi pastor doing it.
Here from Mississippi.
They don't necessarily need medication. They need somebody with authority and power and anointing that says, be gone in the name of Jesus and be set free. I've seen
Watch.
it. I know what I'm talking
They're going to
about.
start speaking in tongues. It's this thing they do in feverish prayer.
Come on, give God praise. Woo! The politically correct mindset would say, I'm a crazy man. The politically correct mindset would say, don't listen to him. He's a nut. He's an Elmer Gantry type person. Don't listen to him. I'm telling you, you can think whatever you want to think about me, but if you ever hear me preach, I'm going to preach to you the Word of God. I'm not going to be mean-spirited about it, but I am going to say...
These guys are fucking crazy, bro.
Spirit of captivity in America. We've had an election now. Things are going to open up. God's Spirit's going to begin to move again in America. I believe that with all my heart.
This was when Donald Trump won, right?
Oh, come on, praise him. Woo! Ha, 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 ha. My God, feel that. Woo! Don't sit down, keep standing. I feel God here. Come on. Hey! Woo!
I did this when I was 16, like at my brother's church.
Thank you, Lord.
I'm going to let it play in a minute, but it was the thing that ultimately turned me away from Christianity was seeing they get into this feverish, like, oh, God is here in the room with us, the Spirit, and then they all start speaking in tongues. And then people get like consumed by this energy and they convince themselves that they're being spoken to by God's Spirit and shit too. But it's like, it's just not real, right? It's like, it's a crowd thing. It's the same shit you feel when you go to a really good rock concert and you're just like connected to the energy in the space. But
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's fucking wild though.
Woo! Mighty God. Revival! I said revival! Revival! Come to America. Woo! Woo! God sweep over Meridian, Mississippi with anointing of the Holy Ghost. Man.
What the fuck did we just watch?
Right?
I'm beginning to think that fundamentalist religion...
Dude, it's fucking crazy, bro.
It is time. It is time.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
The people behind this shit are the people that are bankrolling Donald Trump. And they're same people that want war in the Middle East because they believe it will bring Jesus back. Here it comes.
Go ahead.
Here it comes.
Go ahead.
Shit is wild, bro.
Oh, for the time has come to Haseku and Hasebo and Amushikila Basitu and Alimureke ando tulamajide kruti izino lumurevi shikila pose. And no, tile baraki lo ho ho ho, fote bashela ha ha, ijula dikidi moza te borove abaste, ijele mukrate sumiate sto.
For the time has come for you to take some big steps.
Dude, they're fucking crazy. The shit is nuts, bro. I gotta find a video where it shows like the whole room doing it. Okay? It gets like super feverish. Let me see if there's like an assembly of God. So King James, I wasn't doing it, right? I was not doing it. The Assembly of God people were. So my brother became part of an evangelical church called the Assembly of God. Okay? It's very fucking popular. You probably, if you live in small town America, okay, you probably have one of these fucking churches, okay? It's like, they're called Assemblies of God, okay? There's 13,000 churches in the U.S., okay? And 85 million Assembly of God people, right? And they have all these youth programs, and they're like ginormous. They're evangelical. They're Pentecostal churches. Okay. They're all over America, right? There was one in the small town of Wisconsin. And so they are super evangelical, classic Pentecostal and evangelical. Okay. It's the Trinity. It's the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. They have the baptism in the Holy Spirit, right? But they fucking go deep into the speaking of tongues. They do believe in the prophets and shit like that. Okay. And they're pretty, like, if you live in a small town in America, there's more than likely there's an Assembly of God church in the Midwest in your city. And there's definitely them down in the South. Okay. But it's a fairly popular, you know what I'm saying? There's, 13,000 churches in the U.S., okay? And so they were doing that. So what happened was I went to church, right? I went to church a lot as a kid. And my brother and one of my sisters, half brother, all my brothers and sisters are half brothers and sisters. I always just called them brothers and sisters. But one of my half brother and one of my half sisters became devout Assembly of God parishioners. Okay. They were like, I don't know, 22, somewhere around there, early 20s. They had been out of high school for a couple of years. One of my sisters lived in an evangelical she lived in Eureka Springs, Missouri. or Arkansas, Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Okay. She lived in Eureka Springs, which was like, there was a religious commune there. Okay. That she lived in. Okay. It's like a fucking. Right? There was like some religious commune. I wonder if it's still there. This was in the 80s. Okay. But there was like in Eureka Springs. Okay. So they have this. Okay. It's Christ of the Ozarks, which is in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Right? It's like the statue that they have in Brazil. You know, the giant Christ statue in Brazil? They have one of these in Eureka Springs. Christ of the Ozarks. My sister lived in a religious commune in this fucking city. It's not a city, it's a town. It's like fucking, I don't know, 1,000 people? How many people live there? Right? 2,000 people, but that's in 2020. This was in the 80s, right? So in the 80s, there were like, I guess it was pretty similar, 2,000 people, but whatever. So it's a fucking like wildly religious place because of that Christ in the Ozarks statue. So the Assemblies of God was this religion that Cindy and Gene became deeply involved in. Now, Cindy is no longer in it, but Gene, this is now, that was in the 80s. We're like 30 years later, right? 30, 40 years later, right? Gene is still in it, okay? He ended up following this brother Dudaraman or something. Brother Dudaman, some guy in Romania. Like Gene would go over to build churches in Romania, Assembly of God churches, to go and convert Romanian kids. And they go and they build schools. What they do is they go to impoverished parts of the world and they build schools and they start like raising people with the Assembly of God religion in their schooling. That's their way in. That's how they do it, which is why I think these evangelicals really freak out about LGBTQ people and pride flags, because that's their play. Okay. What these Pentecostal evangelical churches do is they have missions that go to poor parts of the world and they build schools and they try to get people like from the littlest age on, they're being taught with religion fused into their education to convert them to this. But so anyway, so when I was 16, right? Or no, I guess I wasn't 16 because I was in 8th or 9th grade. So I was like 14, right? When I was 14, I went to one of their Assembly of God, like whatever. They did a lot of church. They had church on Sunday, but they would have like Bible youth groups and Bible groups. Like when you get into a church like the Assembly of God or any of those evangelical churches, all of your social like activities become the church. Okay. There's no outside, like you go to church on Sundays, but then you go to youth Bible studies and you go to a youth church camp and you have youth groups where you like play music together and play sports together and whatever, but you are consistently in a world that is like under the umbrella of the church. So I went to one of their like Wednesday night revival things, and there was like a little sermon and they had like cookies and drinks and everyone. And when you're not a member of the congregation, everybody like comes up to you and they like lavish this attention on you. Like, who are you? Oh, you're Gene's little brother. Oh my God, Gene is so amazing. And they give you all this like love and welcome. And then at the end of this thing, they have this like ceremony where the preacher like starts talking and then he gets really crazy. And he's like, anybody who is feeling he's like, God is here with us. And anybody who's feeling it now, like, come on up. And then a couple people come up there and they start like moving around And like they encourage people to come up there, and then more people come up there, and then they start speaking in tongues as the people get up there. And so like they're looking at you, and it's like the people that get up there get like shouts and applause and yes and cheered on. So it kind of like encourages people. So I was like, all right, if God's really in this room and he's coming for these people, like I'm going to go up there. Like, let's make it happen. Like, I'm ready for this, God. And I went in and was like all feverish, like, let's go. And I went up there and got right in the center of that shit. But it was like, what I discovered though is like, did I feel something? Yes, I did. I felt like the feverish energy of the room, the tongues, the adoration, the applause, the cheering. It was very much like a rock show or a music performance or any gathering of people, NFL football game, right? You know what I mean? But it was like, it was also fake. It was a fucking performance. It was a people participating in this like sort of like ritual. And then at the end of it, like, you know, it was not this like mystical fucking spirit flowing through us, right? I think the people who want it to be that will just say that's what it is, and then they make that environment their home, right? But there's a lot more than just them speaking in tongues and going to church, though. These people like are trying to influence public policy. And they're the ones behind abortion and anti-abortion laws. And they're the ones behind those fucking 476 anti-LGBTQ bills, right? And it's fucking crazy, dude. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And like, but I want to show one where there's a fucking...
Hey, everybody out there in YouTube land. A recent comment said, you expose false tongues in your videos. Maybe you could do one on the true gift of tongues. So that's what we'll do today. False tongues is pretty easy to spot, especially if you have someone like Pete Cabrera or anyone teaching it to you.
So you ready? Anybody could do this, even if you pray in tongue. That's my bulldog. He's getting excited. Yeah. So
Thank you, Scottish.
Abba. Abba Salah.
Gong or a clanging cymbal. So could there be some angelic language that God allows? Sure, I guess. But unless it's a known language, tongues and praying in the Spirit. In the same way, the Spirit helps us in our weakness.
See, I think the thing with tongues is it's not a language. Dude, we got to find some video where you hear it. It's not a language. It's like a fucking... Dude, we got to find a group. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
But they prey on people. Though they prey on people who've been like what I used to see in Wisconsin with this, right? I used to see how they would prey on people who had been like divorced or struggling with fucking alcoholism, right? You know what I'm saying? Or like, you know, you know what I mean? Like they look for like the people that are lost and confused and don't have an anchored, moored set of like, you know, anybody who's going through a really, really hard time. And then they sort of like swoop in there and try to scoop them up. And like, you know, they do like offer like a love and acceptance and all that. But it comes with, it's very conditional. It comes with a lot of conditions.
What is he going to do with me? Come here. I preached up at the Pentecostal Pavilion, which is like a tent at Tip City, Ohio, for Pastor Todd Hoskins. She's born in Mexico. speaks fluent Spanish.
Dude, this shit is
That's
wild.
her first language. Speaks fluent English. That's
Yeah.
her second language.
And look at what he's doing, though. Look at this guy. What did they do? They grabbed some young fucking, like, near teenage girl. Like, this is another part of their MO, right? These fucking deeply evangelical people, they marry fucking teenagers, bro.
Something happened to you Friday night. Is that right?
Yes,
Have you ever experienced that before?
never. I feel just something inside me burning.
Can you all hear her back there? Is my battery going dead? It is? Okay, said my battery's going dead. Give us one that's got some spirit. Okay, this is a gray one. Can you hear now? You went Friday night, and I was watching in the line, and something
So
happened
creepy.
to you. Had you ever experienced that before?
Never before.
How can you describe this?
Just something inside me burning. I don't know. It was speechless. I wasn't feeling myself. It was something
Yeah,
crazy.
you get all caught up in the moment.
Powerful, but
Like
at
dancing.
the end, I felt so free. It was
Right?
Oh, was it wonderful?
And then this is just really interesting because when you go along with that, right? Like what'll happen like in that Assembly of God event, just by going up there, everyone's like cheering for you and loving you. And then if they say like, do you feel the Holy Spirit? And you say yes, they start like yelling and hallelujah and amen. And they like make a big deal for you. And it becomes like, it's like you do the performance and you say the thing and then they give you the applause. And
I don't know if have you ever spoken in tongues?
Oh,
Did you
here we
speak
go.
in tongues? She didn't speak in tongues, but I'm telling you, she had every manifestation there was. God truly done something. He put an anointing on you that night to do something for the Lord. And it won't be long. It won't be long till you're going to lose your Spanish and you're going to lose your English and you're going to lift your hands to say hallelujah. And all one see that? I wouldn't be surprised if that language doesn't come out right now.
now watch. Right?
There it goes.
Look at that, dude.
She's praying in other tongues.
Dude.
Oh, something got.
Dude, you see that?
In the last days, I will pour out my spirit up on all flesh. Your sons and your
It's a year ago.
daughters shall prophesy. These signs shall follow them that believe. In my name they shall lay hands on the sick. In my name they shall
This is the
cast out
shit.
devils.
I was in one of these, bro. I did one of that, but I was like, bro, this shit is fake. I mean, I went along with it.
New tongues. Well, we just got to have church for a few minutes.
Now they're all gonna lay hands on her and shit.
Hallelujah. Oh, something got a hold of me. Oh, something got a hold on me.
Yeah.
Never went to a service one night.
Now, what's crazy about this is you might say, oh my God, this is like Fringe, right? Yeah, but dude, this is 30% of America, bro. 25% of like fucking Christian, 30% of Christian America, not 30% of the whole country. But this is a huge amount. So where is this guy's fucking church? Dude, this was 1 year ago at fucking Pastor Tommy Bates Church, which is where is he? He is in fucking Kentucky. Independence, Kentucky. Okay? That's 1 year ago. In America, Kentucky, Mitch McConnell's fucking state, right? And like, if you look at it though, these are not, they don't look like cult people, right? These are the people you see at fucking school board meetings and shit, right? But they are fucking out there, bro, right? And these people are crazy. They fucking believe that, like, there needs to be a war in the Middle East. Like, Jesus is coming back. These are the people, the wealthy people in this religion are fucking behind Donald Trump, right? People like Betsy DeVos, right? She's one of them, okay? Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, right? Look at her eyes, bro. She's one of them, okay? She was involved in an actual religious cult. Like, what was hers? She's a Catholic, but she was involved in... She was in People of Praise, okay? Right? That's what she was involved with. People of Praise. What happened? Dude, I haven't played comp in 2 years, boss. I just don't find Fortnite to be interesting anymore, bro. Nothing more than that. I've moved on to fucking bigger and more interesting things, bro. Been there, done that. Time to move on. All right. So People of Praise, a network of Christian intentional communities, okay? And you affirm the Nicene Creed and agree to the community's covenant, okay? It fucking is like wild, dude. It's like you get supervised, right? You like have somebody that supervises you. They're crazy, dude. And there was like sexual fucking allegations of child abuse, right? Former members of the community said they had been sexually abused in the 70s by a community member who lived in their household, right? There's many members of this who have claimed physical and fucking physical and sexual abuse, right? But Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett is fucking was part of that, dude. These are fucking the people that are making like the ultimate law decisions. Dude, Zift, I get it that you miss me, but I'm never going back to comp, dude. I haven't even watched it in 2 years, bro. And I can't stand the game of Fortnite. I have zero desire, boss. Thank you, but no thank you. I've already done it, right? I got to go do some other shit. I got to go conquer some new shit, bro. I'm not about staying in one place, right? Once I conquer something, I fucking move on, right? But dude, yeah, these people are fucking crazy, bro. Nah, don't be sorry, dude. I love what I'm doing right now. I'm starting a whole new adventure as a political fucking commentator. Don't be sorry, bro. Go do your thing, bro. I'm loving what I'm doing. But yeah, so this is fucking... The reason why we delved off in here, though, is I think you guys need to realize, okay, that these people, okay, when you see a national abortion ban floated, when you see those 476 anti-LGBTQ bills, the people that are sponsoring like right-wing influencers to make content scaring you about trans people, trying to make an issue about trans people, playing in sports, trying to make an issue about, like, trans people being dangerous to your kids or gay people being dangerous to your kids. All of that stuff that you're seeing, all of those things that are fueling that and that are putting billions of dollars behind Donald Trump and Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation, it's these fucking people, bro. These guys, okay? They're extraordinarily wealthy. The people that have been fucking taking tax-free money, right, from congregations for, 30 years. People that believe they're paying tithes to ensure their place in heaven. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking nuts, bro. And what's more, they're sharing the party, the Republican Party, with like Nazis and neo-Nazis and the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers. And it's like, it's fucking wild, bro, to think that these guys and the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and the neo-Nazis that killed Heather Heyer in fucking Charlottesville, they're all on the same team, bro. Like, how mind-blowing is that they're on the fucking same team? Okay, so here we go. Now, this is something that will cause many pregnant people to suffer. This is the anti-abortion bills. Will kill many, many others, but it'll also make women second-class citizens. And so people who worship their gender bigotry and call it God are very excited about doing it. And they're speaking in tongues on the floor of Congress as they force us to contort our country back to a time when we were literally fighting murderous Confederates who wanted to defend and expand human chattel slavery. Mostly because they wanted the money, but also because they said God told them to. And in Louisiana, lawmakers voted to remove a law. This is brand new, dude. I don't know if you heard about this, but in Louisiana, lawmakers voted to remove a law requiring lunch breaks for child labor. So our national nightmare of lunch breaks for our nation's proud child laborers is finally over. This isn't the only law passed that removes long-standing restrictions and regulations on the exploitative and harmful practice of unregulated child labor, but it is certainly the latest one. It was proposed by an elected representative who also owns a chain of Smoothie King ice cream parlors and thus has a lot of child labor. Like, dude, you can't make this shit up, okay? This guy, okay, this guy from Louisiana, Roger Wilder, this guy, okay? Roger Wilder, here he is with his fucking white evangelical family. He owns a chain of fast food ice cream spots called Smoothie King that serve up smoothies, okay? He ran for state representative, okay? It's his first term. He just got elected as state representative. And you know what his first law is that he passes? Is a law that says he can have children work. Kids can work without lunch breaks. That's the fucking law that this motherfucker passes, right? Isn't that wild? That's what he wanted for Louisiana. Now, you know what's funny is, you know who fucking, like, you know, most of the kids that are working are fucking poor kids too, right? And of course, he's a member of the Hebron Baptist Church, right? There he is with this fucking, you know, upper middle class white Christian family, right? Like, it's like, who's the daughter? Who's the wife? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, is that his wife? I think that's his wife, right? You can't even tell who the wife is. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be the daughter, right? That's his wife. But they always have these weird family photos where, like, you look at it and you don't even know who the fucking wife is. right? Because he's standing back there with his daughter, like they're the fucking couple. That's got to be his wife, right? Or is that his wife? I mean, they've been married 21 years, right? Like, you see what I'm saying? You see how fucked up this shit is? This shit is like whacked out, bro. But that's what he does. You know what I'm saying? And fucking, right? He's a volunteer head coach for a Christian high school varsity softball team, right? Of course. Dude, that shit's wild, bro. Dude, these fucking people are fucking crazy, dude. He's dressed like a fucking pastor. Let's hear what he says.
My name is Roger Wilder, and I'm excited to announce that I will be a candidate for state representative for District 71. Many of you in our district know me as the Smoothie Guy. Since opening my first Smoothie King location on South Range Avenue in 2001, I've been using my business and my time to help Denham Springs and our parish in any way possible. For the past 20 years, I've worked directly with our schools and administrators, and my fundraising program has helped raise over $5 million for our schools in Livingston Parish. And now, I want to take that service to the next level by serving Denham Springs and Walker in the Louisiana State Legislature.
This is the guy who just passed a bill, right? Authored a bill that just passed that allows employers to have their kids work without lunch breaks, right? Kids don't need lunch breaks anymore when they work.
Livingston
Thanks
Parish
to this guy.
has grown from a small rural country parish to what is now the 9th largest parish in Louisiana. I want to help us get what we deserve: better infrastructure, more roads, and less traffic. I will work to lower our taxes, and I will not stand for overreaching, liberal, big government mandates.
Look at that. He doesn't want no masks, right? Oh, yeah. No, how dare you wear a mask and prevent fucking grandma from dying of COVID, right? That would be a travesty.
Law enforcement officers, and I will be a fighter in Baton Rouge for our conservative Christian values. I'm Roger Wilder. Please join me on Facebook as we begin this new journey together.
But apparently his Christian values include, like, kids working without lunch breaks, right? Shit, you can't make this shit up. Probably not a lot of deaths will result from kids working ice cream parlors as a result of this law and others like it. But for those children working at typical summer pocket money jobs like slaughterhouses and sawmills, it will. By which, I mean, it already has. Now, see, that's another big problem, right? Is again, the kids working in his Smoothie King, right? Maybe they're fine, right? But there are slaughterhouses and there are sawmills and they're hiring kids too. And in states like Arizona, the Christian Republicans there pass laws, or not Arizona, Arkansas, that, like Sarah Huckabee Sanders, they pass laws that where they don't have to check kids' ages. They don't have to verify their age, which means like undocumented kids now don't have to show ID. So they can hire like undocumented kids in Arkansas to work the slaughterhouses, to work in the meatpacking plants. And in Louisiana, right, they can hire fucking people to work in slaughterhouses and sawmills and then not have to give them a lunch break. So maybe the kids fucking cut off their hands and shit or lop off some fingers because they're fucking hungry because they didn't get to eat, right? Well, it's a broken link, but it is a link to fucking deaths in kid deaths. You look at like so this U.S. Department of Labor has decried a national surge in child labor as the agency has found thousands of violations and is currently investigating the death of 16-year-old boy from Guatemala who was killed on the job at a slaughterhouse this month in Mississippi. Right? In the fucking, right? See, that's the problem. 2 other 16-year-olds have died on the job in the U.S. Okay? A sawmill in Wisconsin, right? And then Will Hampton died in Missouri while working on a landfill when he was pinned between a tractor-trailer rig and its trailer, right? See, that's the shit that they're talking about. Like kids are dying and shit, and they're fucking making it so they can be exploited more. And in Florida and Texas, lawmakers passed a law forbidding municipalities from enforcing their own laws protecting workers from the heat protection such as shade and water breaks, which is fine because heat isn't something that kills and maims people. It does. So this is crazy, right? That Florida and Texas, they passed state laws that don't prevent local cities or counties from passing their own laws to offer workers protections. Isn't that something, right? So the state have been passing laws that say, like, here's our new law, no worker protections or no meal breaks. And guess what? You can't pass a law as a city in our state. You can't pass a law that disagrees with our state law, which is ironic because these same states don't want to obey federal laws, but they expect all their municipalities to obey their state laws. You see how that works, right? Like Texas doesn't want to obey federal laws, right? But they won't let any of their cities disobey their laws. The Florida law was sponsored by State Rep Tiffany Esposito. She told reporters that her husband has 2 decades experience working in South Florida's construction sector. I wonder if he has the sort of construction job where you can drink water whenever you need it, or even if you don't, or if he has a job where you're hired because you're off the books and can be treated as if you were property owned by your employer, and whose death and or maiming is increasingly treated as if it's immaterial to efficiency. Which is it? There's no way of knowing. In a story that combines fascist states and smoothie kings, Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick was the recent subject of a viral video in which he casually suggests that the only thing we have to do to end crime forever is to lock up the 15% of people nationwide who apparently do all the crime. That's quite a claim and a rather speciously sourced statistic. But as final solutions go, you don't have to admit that it is as bold as it is stupid. Anyway, I'm certainly not the only person to point out that this would equate to about 50 million people in prison. And that is remarkably, if not coincidentally, close to the percentage of Black Americans nationwide. But it's indisputably true that this 4,000% increase in the United States' already globally high incarceration rate would be boom business for our private prison industry, which benefits from our justice systems turning the penal system over to the private sector, with its profit motive and its desire for never-ending double and triple-digit growth. Our incarceration profit system disproportionately imprisons people who are Black. That is to say, they are not a made-up thing called white. By 5 times as many Black people go to prison as whites. And it opens prisoners up to the disenfranchisement and slave labor and brutality and early death, among other things. And the same government that allows all this also built the statue celebrating the men who murdered their fellows to defend and expand slavery. And if you're not connecting Dan Patrick's dots yet, I would like you to write me and let me know how much effort it takes to not understand easily understandable things. And I mean, dude, I saw this thing on Twitter, right? It's pretty fucking alarming, dude. Right? Because there's literally like 15% of the country, roughly, is Black. Okay? And here he is. Here's what he says.
Only about 15% of all Americans commit 100% of the crime. Not many of you, hope none of you, have ever robbed a bank or carjacked a car or whatever. So 15% to 100% of the crime. If you lock up the 15%, we don't have any crime. If you lock them up and keep letting them out, thank God we have law enforcement, men and women who serve to do the job over and over again. Only about 15%
Dude,
of all Americans.
isn't that wild? Like he's fucking dog whistling there. Okay? This is a fucking dog whistle. This is why every time you have a discussion about crime, right? Some fucking bigoted fucking shithead's gonna start talking about Chicago. Why? Because Chicago is code word for black. Okay? And it's code word for this implication that black people cause all the crime, right? Which is a leftover from this idea of our enslaved history, right? That was the way they fucking justified enslaving people, right? Like 14.8% of America is black, okay? And this guy's like saying only 15% of Americans commit 100% of the crime. Now, if you were to go to fucking a racist site like End Wokeness on here, okay? Every criminal you're gonna see here is gonna be a person of color, okay? Anytime they show somebody doing something on here, okay, criminally, it's gonna be a person of color. They're never gonna show a fucking, right? Here we go, right? They're attacking the Baltimore mayor, right? But anytime there's a crime, it's going to be on this site. It's only gonna be people of color, okay? Or it's gonna be fucking illegal immigrants, as they like to call them, right? That's what it is. Here we go. Shoplifting and shooting, but they don't ever show a white criminal on this page, okay? None of these fucking right-wing, like the people spreading the racist shit, they never ever show crime committed by fucking white people. Unless, I stand corrected, unless it's a transgender person, right? Then they'll show it. But otherwise, everything they show on here is fucking attacking people of color, okay? Attacking people of color, right? That's what the whole, end wokeness. That's what they want to do, right? They want to end people of color. They want to end gay people, okay? And everything here is an attack. The same with libs of TikTok, okay? Everything you see on libs of TikTok is going to either be it's going to be either people of color or it's going to be LGBTQ people, right? That's their fucking game, bro. It's fine when they talk about a crime, okay? There we go. They're going to show people of color. People of color. It's always the people of color or LGBTQ. But there's literally, if you go to a fucking thing, like if you look at like Bex, okay? Okay, Bex is a great example. Okay, all day long, Bex posts people, Georgia Christian High School teacher and coach Joshua Blackston has been arrested for sending female students nude images of himself, okay? Or the cops that are arrested for fucking Florida City Commissioner arrested 300 videos of children being sexual abused. Charles Lake. Okay? Every day they post people. Washington Evangelical Church worship leader. But like libs of TikTok and End Wokeness, they never cover this stuff. Okay? Because like this shit is really, really wild and rampant. Okay? Every day there's like 5 or 10 of these, right? Dara Faye is another one who's really good about posting this stuff. Okay? She posts all these guys. They go through and fucking like share all these guys that are in positions of power, teachers, pastors, etc. President of the arts councils, all of them usually involved with fucking some type of child sexual abuse or whatever. And it's fucking rampant, bro. It's fucking rampant, this stuff. All right? Cops. Okay? Texas police officer. You know what I'm saying? But they don't cover this shit on those slanted sites that are designed to make it seem like all the crimes are committed by people of color or illegal immigrants or LGBTQ people. All right, so Patrick's suggestion would equate to concentration camps as would any attempt to round up and imprison 15% of a country's entire population, much less one as large as the United States. But it's not just his suggestion, because Patrick belongs to the white Christian party, whose corrupt pig-brained leader, Donald Trump, was appointed by God, and which has documented their plans for sending roaming bands of law enforcement and militias around to round up people they deem illegal, and their plans for establishing permanent rule over the Constitution and democracy and law and everyone else, and their plan to create a state of fascist domination that would deliver state violence on a scale that I honestly don't think any of us is capable of imagining. Now, what does that mean? That state violence. I think it means, like, you know, Black Lives Matter protests, they send in the military, right? There's a fucking, you know, Proud Boys show up and start a fight at the Glendale school, like that Nick Merckx thing. They send in the military. They shut down the fucking school, right? They arrest all the fucking parents that are trying to, like, you know, hang the pride flag. Like, you think it's fucking not possible. But, dude, this shit is. We've already seen it happen in many fucking nations around the world, right? The way fascism roots out is when they start sending in the military to go be the police force, right? It very well could start with a force of people that are running around, like, questioning every Hispanic person they see and demanding they show them their papers, okay? And, like, yeah, it's pretty fucking toxic. And if you're thinking, well, doing that would require a massive and unconstitutional seizure of power, don't worry. They've documented their plans for all that too. And they really have. Okay, that is fucking right here. Project2025.org. Okay, here it is. Okay, they have a playbook. First off, they have a database of people, like Christian nationalist people, that's being organized by the Heritage Foundation. And the next time there's a Republican president, they want to institute this fucking 920 pages of dismantling the government and installing people from that database into every level of government. That's their plan. That's what they want. Okay? And if you're saying prisons aren't concentration camps because concentration camps are a place where mass killing takes place, I fear you're telling me something about your own ignorance, about history, about the nature of our prisons as they currently exist, and about the momentum of genocidal intent. Once it is deemed 15% of its population illegal and rounded them up and imprisoned them. But we aren't just looking at murder by law. The white Christian president is facing 91 criminal charges, which is, I suppose, a byproduct of his committing open crimes and bragging about it. Anyway, they're sitting a jury for one of his trials, and there's a real and present danger that the jury members might be threatened with murder or actually murdered, which is usually something you see with mob trials. But the white Christian president's supporters are white and Christian, and thus a great many of them believe that they have the right to kill anyone they think ought to be killed. And in this general belief, they are not discouraged in any way by leaders of the white Christian political party or its propaganda apparatus. The name for the group of U.S. citizens, all right, here we go. The name for the group of U.S. citizens who more or less would like to be permitted to murder their fellow citizens with, among other things, their cars, is Republican. You could also say evangelical Christian, or conservative, or Confederate, or MAGA, or white supremacist, if you like. There are plenty of synonyms, all of them identifying groups made comfortable by the thought of imprisonment and bad use and death coming to others they deem unworthy of life. I'm told that it would be beyond the pale to say Nazi because there's apparently an important distinction to draw between Nazis and people who want exactly what Nazis want and pursue those things using the exact same methods and language and rationales, but give themselves non-Nazi excuses for doing so. And if I ever remember what that distinction is, I'll let you know right away because I'm a huge fan of precision and nuance. And that's really important, right? Because like it's like the groups are all together. Okay, the people carrying the Confederate flags and the evangelical Christians speaking tongues and wanting anti-gay and anti-abortion laws, and the conservatives who talk about the economy, and the MAGA who would let Trump murder people and still say he was set up, the white supremacists like the Proud Boys, okay, and the Oath Keepers, and the neo-Nazis like the people who drove their fucking car and were carrying those tiki torches in Charlottesville back in 2017, they are all gathered together in the Republican Party. Together. All of those groups are buddy-buddy, supporting the same fucking platform, if you will, that is being, you know, talked about by Donald Trump at his rallies, and the Heritage Foundation and Moms for Liberty and all the other fucking conservative Christian groups right here that are fucking behind Project 2025, right? The Broad Coalition, the 1792 Exchange, the Alliance Defending Freedom, right? ALEC, JurisLink, America First Legal, all of these places, all of these conservative Christian fucking like groups, Defense of Freedom, right? They all have freedom or liberty or fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like America in their name for the most part, but they're all conservative Christian groups that are banding together, okay? That want to, you know, have a white heteronormative Christian rulership that commands everybody obey those Christian principles or else. But it's crazy though that they're all together, right? That you know, I have voted Democrat every election, okay? You know why? You know why I vote Democrat, right? I mean, because there aren't any Nazis in the Democratic Party. There's nobody in the Democratic Party that carries a Confederate flag. None of the well-known white supremacists or those militant groups like the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers, none of them are fucking Democrats, okay? None of them. None of them. None of those, the neo-Nazis, none of those people are in the Democratic Party. I could not share a party if the neo-Nazis were voting for Joe Biden. I would not be voting for Joe Biden. That would be my clue that like Joe Biden's not the guy to be voted for. You know what I'm saying? If you know what I mean? If we look up the anti-LGBTQ bills, whatever group is passing 487, trying to pass 500 anti-LGBTQ bills, that's how I know who I'm not voting for. Okay? These people don't believe in human rights. Okay? You don't pass 500 bills unless you consider something to be dangerous. Okay? How many people are dying because they're gay? Not many. How many gun deaths were there in 2023? Okay? Like, let's look at 2023. What did we have, dude? 2023, we had 18,874 deaths. And there's zero fucking gun laws. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people died in fucking of starvation? So 1,400 people dead of starvation. And what are they doing? They're saying kids don't need lunch breaks at work. The Republicans are. There's something fucking wrong with that, bro. They don't want to put like free meals in schools. They don't want to pass any laws about poverty, right? But they will pass 500 laws about fucking gay people. How many people died from being gay? Like nobody. You know what I'm saying? Hello? Right? You know what I mean? Like, that's the fucking how you tell, bro. Like, these people are not well. Okay? They're acting like gay people are dangerous. But guns and starvation and poverty and fucking COVID They don't want to wear masks. COVID, which killed 1.2 million people, and they're still fucking talking about masks. Don't wear a mask. 1.2 million people dead, and they don't want to wear a mask, but gay people deserve 500 fucking laws, bro. Like, that's how you know, okay? If the Nazis are sharing your fucking pool of politicians, you're voting for the wrong fucking politicians. Okay. Nevertheless, I do agree that all these terms are fraught with historical and rhetorical baggage, and as such, they might cause confusion and discord. Let me propose a new term that boils it right down. Americans who want to kill Americans. They're out there, and they're not shy about their intentions these days. It's an increasing problem for those of us who would perhaps like to not be murdered. Let me wrap up today with some thoughts about that. My latest couple of essays were about this idea of differentiators, using the election as a context. You can read part 1 and part 2 and part 3 if you want to fully understand my points, and you cannot read them if you don't want to fully understand my points, and who could blame you? This one is also sort of about the election, insofar as the election is one of the ways that Republicans or evangelical Christians or conservatives or white supremacists or Americans who want to kill Americans or whatever other synonym you care to use for people captured in our nation's spirit of supremacy intend to capture power so they can get down to the business of exercising domination and control over our bodies and our lives. So it would probably be good if they lost the election and every other election after it. And it would probably even be good if we made it so that such people winning elections was no longer in the realm of the possible. Though I confess that I'm not exactly sure how to accomplish such a thing other than a complete shift away from our dominant and very popular supremacist cultural values. So yes, it would be good if they lost the election. I think, even as we recognize the numerous and multifarious failings of the party that would be the beneficiary, a party called Democratic, which has an unfortunate and sometimes overwhelming habit of accommodating Americans who want to kill Americans rather than standing in solidarity with the Americans they want to kill. We could argue whether or not so many of them so frequently do this because they agree with the Americans who want to kill Americans, or simply because they support a status quo that is murder aligned, or even some other reason. And we should argue about that to get to the bottom of it. But we should also acknowledge that the Democratic Party has a leader who has, for example, not tried to overthrow democracy in order to establish a white Christian dictatorship. That's Joe Biden, right? That's one thing Joe Biden hasn't done. He's not trying to install a Project 2025, okay, where he puts a whole bunch of white Christian fucking zealots in government in order to abolish gay rights and to get rid of fucking abortion or to reduce women's rights, to remove birth control, to fucking prevent people from moving here and becoming citizens. Joe Biden's not doing any of that, okay? He's done none of that. The Democratic Party leader, Joe Biden, has a leader, Joe Biden, who has, for example, not tried to overthrow democracy in order to establish a white Christian dictatorship, and has actually walked with striking workers. He's got the endorsement of the United Auto Workers. Now he just got the Steel Workers Union, right? All the unions are backing Joe Biden. They're not backing Donald Trump because Donald Trump is anti-union. He's actually walked with striking workers. He hasn't published plans for dispatching roving gangs of deputized brute forces to round up millions of people. And Joe Biden doesn't appoint judges who are aligned with and or bribed by fascist white Christians, okay? Joe Biden is not electing fucking, he's not going to put a Supreme Court justice in there like Amy Coney Barrett, okay? He's not going to nominate a Supreme Court justice who was part of an evangelical cult, okay? And who fucking goes to churches and fucking speaks in tongues and shit. He's not going to put them on the bench to decide what laws govern you, right? But Donald Trump, He doesn't fucking care. He's like, he doesn't care about that shit. He's not worried about that because he fucking put them there. He's above all that. He's like, you know, committing crimes left and right. And all these people are making excuses for him. Okay. And Joe Biden is not facing 91 criminal charges while posing an active threat to the lives of the judges and jurors and so on and so forth. And so despite many failings, if he and his party wins, Americans who want to kill Americans will not be as empowered as if the white Christian party wins. What is speaking in tongues? So what it is, have linear, is you can Google it and look at it. So it's this thing that evangelical churches do where once they are infused with the Spirit of the Lord, just a whole bunch of fucking like primitive, like beyond language sounds come out of their mouth. And it's part of how they show that God is like speaking through them. It's mental is what it is. I think it's worth saying it again. Here, I'll play the clip for you. We had a perfect example in this church of watch this guy. Watch, here it is. You ready? Watch this guy. He pulls up. Let's watch this.
I tell you what I'd like to do. Is Stephen, is your oldest daughter here?
Just watch this. He pulls up
Stephanie,
somebody's daughter, a teen girl.
Stephanie, where is she?
Watch this.
Come here, Stephanie. Oh my goodness, she's saying, what is he going to do?
Dude, he probably wants to marry this guy's fucking daughter, dude. These guys are gross, bro.
Come here. I preached up at
Watch
the
this.
Pentecostal Pavilion, which is like a tent at Tip City, Ohio, for Pastor Todd Hoskins. She's born in Mexico. Speaks fluent
This is a
Spanish.
year ago in Kentucky.
That's her first language. Speaks fluent English. That's her second language. Something happened to you Friday night. Is that right?
Yes,
Have you ever experienced that before?
never. I feel just something inside me burning.
Can you all hear her back there?
Watch this.
Is my battery going dead? It is?
My battery?
Okay, said my battery's going dead. Give us one that's got some spirit.
Watch this, though.
Okay, this
Shit
is a great
crazy,
one.
bro.
Can you hear now? You went Friday night, and I was watching in the line, and something happened to you. Had you ever experienced that before?
Never before.
How can you describe this?
Just something inside me burning. I don't know. It was speechless. I wasn't feeling myself. It was something crazy and powerful. But at the end, I felt so free.
Right? They're like, she was feeling the Spirit of the
was
Lord
it
or
wonderful?
something.
I don't know if have you ever spoken in tongues? Did you speak in tongues? She didn't speak in tongues, but I'm telling you, she had every manifestation there was. God truly done something.
Here it comes.
He put an anointing on you that night to do something for the Lord. And it won't be long. It won't be long till you're going to lose your Spanish, and you're going to lose your English, and you're going to lift your hands to say hallelujah. And I want you to I wouldn't be surprised if that language doesn't come out right now.
Here it goes.
There it goes. She's praying in other tongues.
Look at them. They're all going.
Daughters shall prophesy. These signs shall follow them that believe.
Dude, it's not have linear.
sick. In my name they shall cast out devils. In my
It's
name
not scripted. It's like,
shall speak with new tongues.
it's like this shit where people, like, I was telling the chat earlier that I have a brother who's part of the Assembly of God Church, so I went and did one of those. It's like people get wrapped up into this thing, and everybody's like clapping for him, and like the energy. It's like being a rock star. You go up there and you participate in it, and then the whole place erupts for you, and you know what I'm saying? And these people get feverishly into it. They're fucking.
Well, we just gotta have church for a few minutes. Hallelujah. Oh, something got a hold of me. Oh, something got a hold on me. Well, I went to a service one night. My heart wasn't right, but something got a hold on me.
Dude, he's probably gonna try to have sex with her like a couple months from now, dude. That'll be the next thing. She'll become like a fucking concubine to him or some shit. But it becomes this like feverish sort of thing. But this is like the reason why I was bringing it up is the people who fucking engage in this type of religion are the people that are bankrolling fucking Donald Trump and these fucking far right, you know, Amy Coney Barrett and fucking the Heritage Foundation and all these groups behind Project 2025. It's those people. All right. I think it's worth saying it again. It would be good if the election empowered Americans who want to kill Americans as little as possible. Meaning we do not want the Republicans and the people that are behind fucking this crazy ass shit. We do not want them winning the election and running the fucking government. It's not going to be healthy for anybody. This is different from saying that the Democratic Party will save us and silly things of this nature, which is true. I admit the Democratic Party is not going to necessarily save us, but they're not going to harm us like the evangelical Trumpian fucking Project 2025 hit squad going out like asking every Hispanic person in America to see their papers or threatening them with jail and deportation. It's not going to be like that with the Democrats, okay? We can get into that some other time. Today I'm talking about Americans who want to kill Americans. If Americans can murder their fellow citizens using the existing rules and institutions, they'll do it. If they can't, they'll corrupt those rules and seize those institutions. If they can't do that, then they're pretty clear about their intentions. They'll follow Master Tom Cotton's instructions and take matters into their own hands. Okay, that was talking about Tom Cotton. That was talking about this Tom Cotton tweet. Right here. I encourage people who get stuck behind the pro-Hamas mobs blocking traffic, take matters into your own hands to get them out of the way, right? That is literally a dog whistle to that murder. And, well, here's the problem, Have Linear, right? So here's the deal, though. Like, what about them? Okay? It's like if there are traditional Republicans that don't align with Trump ideology, but are they going to vote for him? Because if you vote for him, you're aligned with him, right? So the traditional Republicans, if there is such a thing, that don't align with Donald Trump, they should not vote for Donald Trump, okay? Vote for fucking Joe Biden. Vote for RFK Jr. Vote for Cornel West. Vote for a write-in like Joe's mama. You know what I'm saying? Like, leave the Republican Party and start a new party, the Conservative American Party, right? CAP, Conservative American Party. But that's the problem, is like what we've been talking about tonight is this problem, how these guys, these are the Proud Boys. These are a white supremacist, anti-LGBTQ, Christian hate-based organization that will use violence and bullying and any type of physicality in order to bully and force people into obeying them and their ideology. If you have a drag show, these guys are going to show up and try to beat up everybody there. If you have a sex education book in a library that alludes to, what it's like to live a queer life, these guys are going to show up and try to fucking beat people up or force that library to get rid of that book or close the library. And these people are aligned with Donald Trump. They love Donald Trump. He is everything to them. He's given them the boldness to come out in bigger and bigger groups, to show up at the library, right? And not fucking, you know what I'm saying? Show up at the library and not worry about getting arrested. And the cops are on these sides. Well, I don't really see that though, have linear. Okay, because the thing is show me the extreme side of the Democrats. The most extreme Democrats are what? They want national health care. They want free education. You know what I'm saying? They're not like there is no Democratic fucking thing like this. There isn't. Okay? There's no Democrat. The Democrats don't want to fucking dismantle the Department of Education. They don't want to dismantle the Environmental Protection Agency. They don't want to dismantle the FBI. They want to reform the police so less people get murdered, right? They want to reform the judicial system so it's not just locking up people of color at 5 times the rate. It's locking up other people. They want to have rich people who commit crimes, like Donald Trump actually fucking get in trouble, right? They don't want him to get away. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want wealthy people. You know what I mean? If Joe Biden, you got some proof about a crime for Joe Biden, fucking let's have the DA of Georgia or Texas, right? You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and fucking charge him with the crime. If Joe Biden committed a crime and you have evidence, I want that motherfucker in jail. Okay? If Hillary Clinton committed a crime, you have evidence, convene a grand jury, indict her, put her in jail. Okay? But you don't have evidence. That's why it hasn't been done. Donald Trump, there's a lot of evidence of his crimes. That's why he's facing fucking trial. Okay? You know what I'm saying? There was a grand jury of 22 people who saw a case presented and saw, wow, there's enough evidence here to get an indictment. You don't just say, I want to charge someone with the crime, and then you get to charge them with the crime. There's a process. There's a grand jury process of 22 people, and evidence is presented, and then you have to prove that you have enough evidence where, damn, it really looks like this person committed that crime. Then they hand down an indictment. The shit is not like faked, okay? I mean, you know what I mean? Nobody just fucking said, hey, we're gonna charge Donald Trump with a bunch of fake shit, and then fucking went after him. They've been investigating this shit for years, okay? And it's not the first time. His company, Trump Organization, was involved in a 15-year fucking fraud conspiracy, okay? Alan Weisselberg, the fucking chief financial officer of Trump Org, went to fucking prison, okay? There was a fucking many years investigation into Trump Org, okay? Okay, before that, his charity had to get shut down because it was illegal. Like, there's a lot of shit on Donald Trump going back. Like, unfortunately, he decided to be, like, get the fucking most noticeable job in the country. You know what I mean? Well, yeah. So have linear. There is a difference between a grand jury and a normal one. So what a grand jury is grand juries are impaneled to decide if there should be a trial. Okay? So what happens is with the grand jury, no, a lot of people are here, they're just not talking, boss. Okay? So with the way it is with the grand jury is a grand jury is a group of people that are impaneled that district attorneys, when they have a case against somebody, they go and they want to start a criminal case, right? Like there are some criminal cases that are started because, you know, a guy gets arrested, okay? So now a guy who gets arrested, okay, doesn't go to a grand jury. A guy who's been arrested, the cops are suspicious this guy has committed a crime. They've collected evidence. They've arrested him for that crime. And then he's being charged. They're charging him with that crime. Okay? So that's what happens with a normal arrest. Like the police are essentially the grand jury. And then they go take him before a judge. The judge looks at the evidence and is like, yeah, okay, we're going to put this to trial. Okay? So that's what happens if you get caught like stealing from a grocery store or you get caught in the commission of an assault or whatever, right? Now what a grand jury is where there's a crime that's been committed, but they haven't arrested the person. It's not a crime that was witnessed by, you know, it's usually more for things that are like white collar crimes, right? Like somebody calls in and says, hey man, this fucking, like my boss's company, my boss is stealing my overtime. And then he goes to a fucking government protection agency and says, hey man, my boss is stealing all our overtime. And they look at it and they hire investigators and they collect evidence that the boss is stealing overtime. Well, then what they can't do is they can't just go in and arrest the boss because it's like a company, right? And he's not the only person there involved, right? So what they do is, or maybe it is just him and maybe it's all him, but they can't. What they do then is they, in order to try him, they take all their evidence to a grand jury, and a grand jury looks and says, oh, does it look like this guy's really committing this crime? And if he is, they issue an indictment, and then that case goes to trial. And then it'll end up before a judge, and that's when they pick a jury that then decides if the guy is innocent or guilty. But a grand jury is something that, like, you have to prove that there's a case in order to get an indictment. All right? And I believe they sit, right? So they're different with every type of state. Okay? So the grand jury is preliminary criminal matters and assesses evidence presented by a prosecutor to determine whether there is probable cause. Okay? 16 to 23, I believe it's 22. And they're private, but yeah, here's what it is. So they serve up to 18 months. So what this is grand jury, like a grand jury is like there for a period of time, and they're not just working one case, okay? So a grand jury is like, you know, like the district attorney in Philadelphia, there will be a grand jury in their district for a year and a half, 2 years, right? So Kevin, so what's happened with Trump now is it depends on the case. So in a couple of things, Trump has already been found guilty. There was a civil trial with E. Jean Carroll and him about him sexually abusing her and then him defaming her afterwards and saying she was lying. And that case was a civil trial that went to court and Trump lost. He was found guilty and millions of dollars in damages, okay? And now he's trying to appeal it. Then there was also a civil case in New York where Donald Trump falsified business records in order to get low interest loans, right? In order to receive loan money at rates that he shouldn't have had. And then he was also undervaluing those assets for tax purposes. He was found guilty of that. okay? And he lost that case, and he's appealing that one as well. So those two, he's been found guilty, but he's trying to appeal. Right now in New York, there was a grand jury that was convened to indict him for the Stormy Daniels fraud case, and his lawyer who participated in it already went to prison for this. And that's a criminal trial, though. That's about a criminal trial of trying to influence an election by paying a woman to be quiet about their affair 1 month before the election, and then falsifying his business records to cover up the fact that he paid this woman off. Okay, so that's a criminal trial. He was found probable cause by the grand jury. Now he's on trial for that. He has a couple other criminal cases. There's one in Georgia, a criminal case where for trying to overturn the election that involved him calling the Secretary of State in Georgia who manages the elections and asking him to find him votes that would give him a lead over Biden. And then also there was a conspiracy of a group of people that were trying to send fake electors, because the way elections work is after an election is certified with the vote, they send electors to go in and actually commit the vote, right? So what happens is each state has a number of electors, okay? Say your state has 10 electors. These are people that are certified to be electors. So we know who the 10 people are. So then when your state, say it's Georgia, the number is not 10 in Georgia. I'm just using 10 as an example. So as an example, Georgia has 10 electors. Biden wins the vote. The Secretary of State certifies Biden has won the vote. Those 10 electors then go to certify the election, and they go in and vote for Joe Biden. And then Joe Biden has won the 10 electoral votes, okay? Now, what happened with Trump was not only did he try to call the Secretary of State and get him to fudge the numbers, but they actually had fake electors. They did this in Georgia. They also did it in Wisconsin, where they had people who were not the actual electors go and try to show up and vote for Trump instead of Biden, who had won that state. And they got caught. And the people that helped him arrange this got caught. So he's going to go to a criminal trial for those charges as well, right? So this shit is fucking wild, right? But dude, he fucking broke the law in very serious ways, right? It's not the first time he's broken the law, but it's definitely the most serious that he's ever done. And it was I guess he did it so brazenly because of him being president and all, that he just thought it was gonna go away, right? All right, so here we go. I want to finish this essay though, so I can go work on my video. If Americans can murder their fellow citizens using existing rules and and institutions, they'll do it. If they can't, they'll corrupt those rules and seize the institutions. And if they can't do that, then they're pretty clear about their intentions. They'll follow Master Tom Cotton's instructions and take matters into their own hands, because what they want is hard use and brutality and murder to come to those of their fellow citizens they believe deserve it. And if our institutions stop delivering those things to their liking, then they'll attack the institutions, by which I mean they already have. More and more, they're talking now about waging some form of something like war, though perhaps it won't look like war as we're used to seeing it. It's not too hard these days to find somebody openly agitating for secession and civil war. And here I'm not just talking about Republican governors or conservative propagandists, but also rank and file members of the White Christian Party, which is the Republican Party, who seem to take comfort from thinking of how many members of the military and our military police are conservatives or white Christians or white supremacists or whatever. And also of how many massacre weapons they all own and how much massacre they would able to deliver if their fellow citizens who don't deserve life ever try to threaten their existence by replacing them. In other words, by insisting on existing in public as if they are equal human beings, whose lives hold equal value even though they aren't Christian or a made up thing called white. I think the Americans who want to kill Americans expect to use the election and the planned and published takeover that would come after. That's Project 2025. That's this thing. Okay? I think the Americans who want to kill Americans expect to use the election and the planned and published takeover that would come after to establish the fascist domination of creepy religious bigots that they crave. But if they can't, I think a great many of them, far more than we'd want, hope and intend to deliver stochastic white supremacist terrorist violence on a scale that I honestly don't think any of us is capable of imagining, including even them. Am I wrong? Maybe. I hope so. But I don't know why we should expect different from a movement that celebrates 1864's laws and beliefs, or defends a murderous Confederacy and their supremacist cause as its heritage, to the point where they cannot establish meaningful tactical or rhetorical differentiation between themselves and 2017's Charlottesville, including Nazis. I don't know why we should expect different from a movement that worships the beliefs that attend supremacy to the point that their bigotry is what they mean when they talk about their religion. Enough. I want to make some conclusions now. I still think about differentiators. Members of the white Christian party don't differentiate themselves from white supremacists. This is really important, right? This is important about like the sort of like Proud Boy fucking Trump brand, right? The Proud Boy, Oath Keepers, anti-LGBTQ, Donald Trump, libs of TikTok, right-wing fucking, 500 anti-LGBTQ bills, speaking in fucking tongues on the Congress floor, like those hardcore, like take away gay rights, take away a woman's right to abortion, take away fucking gay marriage, like, you know what I'm saying? Enable the police to fucking do whatever they want. Create a group of people that are fucking going after, sorry buddy, not here to listen to you cry, dude. Get kicked. Like, create a hit squad, okay? Create a hit squad where they're gonna go look for, at every Hispanic-looking person and demand to see their papers, okay? That group of people, the Nazis in Charlottesville that killed Heather Heyer by driving a car into them, that group of people, that group of Christian fundamentalist evangelicals, okay, that are doing all this crazy shit. There's a whole bunch of Republicans that are voting for the same people that all those crazy, like, fucking Nazi-ass motherfuckers are voting for, okay? If you're a whatever white person in America and you vote for Donald Trump, you're aligning yourself with these guys. Period. Okay? Like, that's a problem. Members of the white Christian party don't differentiate themselves from the white supremacists. They don't. They say, no, oh, Trump is their guy, but they're saying Trump is their guy too. If they wanted to differentiate themselves, they'd say, you know what, guys? We're not voting for Trump. We're not voting with the Proud Boys. We're going to go start our own party, the Conservative Party. You know what I mean? Here in Italy, you can't be elected if you have committed some types of crimes. There's not necessarily a rule for that, Kevin. This is untested. We've never had a president commit so brazen of illegal shit as Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump, see, it's not like Donald Trump started when he was president, Kevin, because Donald Trump has been committing pretty brazen crimes for his whole life, okay? He, back when him and his dad owned housing projects, they wouldn't rent to black people. And black people would come in and they would tell them there were no apartments available. White person would come in, they'd say, let us show you the 3 apartments available. They got busted by the US government twice, and they got fined, and they just signed a thing that said they weren't admitting any guilt. They paid a fine, they moved on. Okay? He's defrauded shareholders, bankrupted businesses, gotten out of it with Chapter 11 bankruptcy laws. He's fucking had 4,000 lawsuits against him of people that he didn't pay, and he's always like settled in some monetary way or created some legal obstacle that forces them to drop the suit, or like maybe sent guys like this to go rough him up. Like, we don't really know, but he's been involved in illegal shit and fucking money laundering with the casino and shit for like ages. Okay, everybody knew this. Everybody in New York has hated him, right? This is why when he wanted to buy the NFL team in the 80s, they wouldn't let him do it. Everybody's known he was pretty much a crook, right? Dirty, friends with Jeff Epstein, like fucking, you know, wannabe mob boss, fucking piece of shit, right? But then he became president, started doing that shit. He had the Trump Hotel in DC. Right after he won the elections, Saudi Arabia rented 500 fucking rooms in his hotel, bro. 500 rooms, right? For what? Who knows? They were just putting a whole bunch of money in Donald Trump's pocket. And then what happened? You know, 2 years later when they murdered that fucking journalist, Donald Trump was like, what? Oh, you murdered a journalist? You cut him up with a bone saw in the embassy? Like, you shouldn't have done that, guys. But here, we're going to sell you $100 billion of weapons. And then when I'm done being president, Saudi Arabia, you're going to give my kid $2 billion, which they did with Jared Kushner, right? He's fucking dirty, bro. He's like super crooked, but nobody cares about that, right? But yeah, he fucking, it's just catching up with him now, right? Because he did it on such a grand scale. But I think about differentiators. Members of the white Christian party don't differentiate themselves from white supremacists, whether or not those white supremacists are currently invading Charlottesville. I think we should find ways of exposing and clarifying this lack of meaningful differentiator. First, we need differentiators of tactics to oppose a political movement that acts in such fathomless bad faith. I think this means we need to stop acting in good faith with white and Christian supremacy, by which I mean people captured by the violent spirit of supremacy or republicanism or Trumpism or conservatism or whatever other synonym you prefer to use for it, particularly if this spirit of violent supremacy is a spirit they claim to worship. Second, we need to start creating some nice, sharp, crisp, simple messages about who and what these supremacists are, which will happen to be very mean and divisive things to say, but which also will happen to be very true. And we need to do this not just because it's good to speak truth, but also because truth will create differentiators for those who don't know the difference. Americans who want to kill Americans is an example. I've got some other ideas too. See you next time. Let's go. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. I'm going to read the other parts. Let's see what parts 1, 2, and 3 are. Part 1 is binaries and illusions of binaries. Part 2 is the thing that's coming. Part 3 is the bloody math. All right. Yeah, I love this guy. If you like his writing, AR Moxon, you should go check him out. He's on Twitter, and like, if you're wondering why I'm getting into this, I'll tell you why. It's because I've just started moving actingliketommy.com from a gaming site to what's going to be a blog. Okay, because my next journey is a journey similar to this. It's going to be the written word, and it's going to be a journey about fucking saying no to Americans who want to kill Americans, right? And saying no to motherfuckers in fucking tongues who want to fucking pass laws that tell me who I can fuck or can't fuck, or if a woman I know can fucking decide to get rid of a fetus that was put in her by a rapist. These people aren't fucking making those fucking decisions. No fucking way, bro. This shit is crazy.
Praise God. Miss Staben, there's your preacher.
These are the motherfuckers that are funding Donald Trump. This shit.
A woman preacher in Spanish and in English and in other tongues.
They're funding the guy who's liable of sexual assault and paying off the porn stars and fucking falsifying his business records. Dude, Donald Trump's a fucking piece of shit. What do you mean you don't like Donald Trump, dude? What are you even fucking talking about, bro? Nobody who's not an asshole likes Donald Trump. Yeah, all right, well, that's fine, but I'm booting you, boss. Fuck off. Get fucked on. Yeah, later. Nobody cares. You can like Donald Trump, but you ain't liking him here. If you're a Trump stan here, you get the boot. No fucking Trumps allowed. You're not included. You're not invited to the party. You know why? You know why? Because Donald Trump is aligned with the fucking Proud Boys, who is aligned with the fucking neo-Nazis, who is aligned with these crazy religious fucking zealots, who is aligned with all these Christian organizations trying to take away people's rights, and you're getting booted too. Fuck off. And if you like him and you're aligned with them, you don't get to be aligned with me. That's it. Period. Fuck you. You get moved along. Okay? You don't get to be aligned with me. You don't get me. All right? The only people who get me are people who fucking know better. People who look at this shit and say, fuck that, bro. Fuck fascism. Fuck the Proud Boys. Fuck the crazy tongue-speaking fucking evangelical weirdos. Fuck giving billionaires tax cuts while there's fucking people starving on the fucking street. Okay? Fuck people who want to give the Ukraine to fucking Vladimir Putin. Okay? Fuck people who are cool with fucking Donald Trump's son-in-law getting $2 billion from the motherfucking Saudi Arabians that fucking murdered a journalist. All right? If you're aligned with this fucking guy, fuck you, boss. You don't get me. All right? For the rest of you, I'll fucking see you guys tomorrow, all right? Let's go.